Evelyn Hart vanished without a trace on a cold November night. She had been walking home from a late shift at the diner, her breath visible in the frosty air, her steps quickened by the eerie silence of the deserted streets. When she didn't return home, a frantic search began. Days turned into weeks, weeks into years, and eventually, the small town of Ridgewood accepted the painful truth. Evelyn was gone. But on the 10th anniversary of her disappearance, Evelyn came back. It was a rainy evening when she appeared, walking down Main Street as if she had merely been away for the weekend. Her hair was longer, her face paler, and her eyes. There was something about her eyes. They were darker now, almost black, and seemed to hold an unsettling void. She smiled at the townsfolk, who stopped in their tracks, too stunned to speak. Evelyn spoke little, offering vague explanations about being lost in the woods and finally finding her way back. The sheriff, an old friend of her family, was skeptical but could find no reason to hold her. Her return was celebrated with cautious joy. Friends and family welcomed her, and the town buzzed with curiosity. But beneath the surface, a sinister unease began to fester. Evelyn was different. Her movements were too fluid, almost inhuman, and she had an uncanny ability to appear when no one expected her. Animals avoided her, and children cried in her presence. There was an internal rhythm that began to help. Still, no one dared voice their concerns, not at first. Then, the murders began. It started with Mr. Harper, the local butcher, found hanging in his shop with deep, precise cuts across his body. The next was Lily Summers, a teenager known for spreading gossip, discovered drowned in the creek under mysterious circumstances. One by one, the townsfolk began to meet grisly ends, each death more brutal than the last. The common thread? Each victim had wronged Evelyn in some way before her disappearance. The sheriff started to piece things together, though his heart begged him to look away. Evelyn had no alibi for any of the murders, and she always seemed too calm when the news broke. One night, he visited her home, determined to confront her. But as he entered the dimly lit house, a wave of cold dread washed over him. The walls were lined with strange symbols, and the air smelled of decay. Evelyn appeared in the doorway, her face devoid of emotion. "I never wanted to come back," she whispered, "but they made me." "Who? Who made you?" the sheriff stammered, his hand trembling over his holstered gun. "The ones from the forest," Evelyn said, her voice hollow. "They gave me life again, but it wasn't free. I belong to them now, and they hunger for retribution." The sheriff never left the house. The next day, his deputy found him in the woods, his face frozen in a mask of terror, his body lifeless. The town descended into chaos, suspicion and fear tearing neighbors apart. Meanwhile, Evelyn continued her macabre mission, her killings as methodical as they were cruel. One brave soul, a young journalist named Clara, decided to investigate Evelyn's past, delving into old folklore and interviewing those who still remembered the legends of the forest. She discovered stories of ancient entities that lured humans into their realm, offering them power or freedom in exchange for servitude. Evelyn, it seemed, was one of their creations, sent back to enact vengeance and spread their darkness. Clara confronted Evelyn one stormy night, armed with knowledge and a desperate plan. "You don't have to do this," she pleaded. "We can help you break free." Evelyn's laugh was cold and hollow. "Break free? You don't understand. They are in me. I am them." But as Evelyn moved closer, a flicker of something human flashed in her eyes. Clara seized the moment, reciting an ancient incantation she'd found in her research. Clara seized the moment, reciting an ancient incantation she'd found in her research. Evelyn screamed, her body convulsing as the darkness within her fought back. For a brief moment, the town seemed to hold its breath. In the end, Evelyn collapsed to the ground, her body lifeless. The murders stopped, and Ridgewood began to heal, though the scars remained. The forest, however, seemed darker than ever, as if mourning the loss of its servant. And sometimes, on cold, quiet nights, the townsfolk swore they could hear Evelyn's laughter carried on the wind. A chilling reminder that some horrors never truly end.